Amen, amen. Hey, you can have a seat tonight. I don't know what we walked into here tonight, but we came for Christmas Eve and ended up with revival. Like, that was just, like, electric and on fire. I don't know about you, but, like, I feel and I sense, like, as we were just walking through that, I felt the Lord just kind of directed me to this idea that he takes us from trouble to triumph, yeah? Anybody else? They didn't like that one. Like, how about from like glory to glory? Like, I love that idea. Like, we stuck in the two sometimes, and you start with glory, you end up there, but sometimes you're just stuck in that little middle part that's two. Yeah. Anybody with me here? Okay. All right, we'll try it. Is there a third? Can we try somewhere else? Listen, I don't know what brought you here tonight, but we are so thankful that you're here and that you can just along with us. We just consider this a family. And so you walked into the living room today, and like whatever the living room looks like for you or what it needs to be, I'm just glad that you're here and that we can pursue this amazing God together to celebrate the birth of an amazing Savior and this Son. And so that's what we're going to do tonight, and I promise I'll have you out of here before 7:30 tomorrow morning. Will that be okay? Like, no, we're going to not pull an all-nighter. But did you find the perfect gift? Did you find it? Did you find it? Did anybody find it? No? Listen, I'm not, you all know how I am a little bit, but I'm not much of a gifty person. Like, you know, the 5 love languages, and number 5 for me is gifts. So I don't get all hung up on this. My wife, on the other hand, very much a gift-giving person. And like, maybe I'm helping you or encouraging you with, everybody has a love language, right? Y'all have one, you have a primary one, you have a secondary, and you realize that you love out of your primary love language. So if you're a gifty person, you love to give gifts as much as you love to receive them, right? You just get over the top with being able to give gifts away. I know this about Crystal, and so every once in a while, I'll just, like, even this week, I brought her some, I don't even know what it was, peanut M&Ms, and she's like, "What? You thought of me?" Yes, I did. I brought flowers too, and it just, like, she just loves to receive gifts, and she goes over the top every Christmas. She's like, "We got to get this and we got to get that." I'm like, "We are done." She starts Christmas shopping in like July or January, whichever. But she, all year long, she's just like, she loves Christmas. So I struggle with this a little bit. I struggle with the idea of, what do I get her? What do I do for her? What do I do for my kids? And the other day, Austin, I am literally confused right now as to what day this is, all right? Usually I speak on Sunday, so in my mind, it is Sunday, okay? But, so Friday, Austin's like, "We got to go get a gift for Mom." Austin is very much a gifty person, too. It's one of his love languages. So, a couple weeks ago, he and Mama were walking through Walmart, and she said, so they're just like walking, meandering, you know, doing their thing. They're taking a few moments. I think they were on a mama-son date, and they ended up at Walmart to grab a few things. And so they're just walking through the aisle of Walmart. I don't know why you would ever want to do this, but that's what they were doing. I could think of a lot better things to do, but they do that and Taco Bell at the same time. And so they're doing this, and she just, off the cuff, says, "Oh, I love that." And so she keeps moving on. And Austin, like, spins around, walks back, pulls out his iPod, takes a picture of this thing, and then tells me a couple days later, "I got to go back to Walmart because I found the perfect gift." Why? Because she told him it was, right? And so he's paying attention. He knows this. He knows that she wants it. He knows that she's going to love it. And then he comes to me, smart boy that he is. He's like, "Dad, you got to take me back to Walmart because you got to buy Mama this gift for me," right? He knows how to work this out. And so we do. And honestly, I'll be honest with you, tomorrow morning, I am more excited to see Mama's look on her face over this gift that Austin bought her than any other thing. Just because I know the heart behind it. I know, like, the thought that Austin put behind this and the passion that he has about getting this perfect gift for Mama. Like, this is a big deal. I love it. It's the perfect gift. I want to read you this passage from Matthew chapter 1 tonight. It's this Christmas story. You all know it. You're familiar with it. But I want to just pull out a simple truth, a simple angle on it tonight that maybe you haven't seen before. But it says this in Matthew chapter 1, verse number 1. It says, "After Jesus was born." So understand this. We're talking about Jesus is already here. He's already arrived. After Jesus is born in Bethlehem village, Judea territory, this was during Herod's kingship, a band of scholars arrived in Jerusalem from the east. You all know this. In the second verse, it says, they asked around, where can we find and pay homage to this newborn king of the Jews? We observed a star in the eastern sky that signaled his birth, and we're on a pilgrimage to worship him. Get this and understand this. You've got these group of scholars that are researching, they're looking, they're going through all these annuals of ancient history to try to find out, where is this promised Messiah going to show up? Where is this perfect gift going to arrive? So they've researched it, they've read it, they know it, and as soon as this star appears, they're like, that's it, that's the sign, that's the signal what we've been waiting for. We've got to go. We're on our way. This is it. We're not going to miss this moment. Let me tell you how easy it is for me to miss the moments when it comes to these gifts, okay? Like because this is, again, not my love language a whole lot, it just goes right over my head. I don't think about it. I just struggle with this. Crystal and I have been married now for almost 17 years, and she's learned a thing or two about who I am and how I work. And so basically she gets to this spot where she's just like, she adds a bunch of stuff to a shopping cart on some website, and then she's like, here's what I want, right? And all I have to do is push, place, order, right? And she is gracious in this, and now you're like, what is wrong with this kid? I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out that myself. But I know that, honestly, she does this around mid-November, October. And so tomorrow, when she gets these gifts, she's like, how did you know? All I did was push order. But I'm determined that in this, I'm not going to miss this moment. I'm not going to miss this because she wanted it. And I want to be able to bless her with it. And every once in a while, I find something like on my own, like I think a bit myself, and I'll pick it out, and she'll be like, that's okay, cool, but not that cool. You almost missed it. The star appeared in the sky. Let's conceptualize this for just a minute. How many people, and we're talking about 2,000 plus years ago, how many people do you think lived on earth at the time? Somebody said in the first service, a young man sitting right up here said, 1,000? How many people do you think lived on the earth around the time that Jesus was born? Million? Millions? A billion? I don't know. A lot of people? Huge amounts of people? I have no idea how many people lived. But it was a lot. It had to be millions of people lived on the earth at the time that Jesus was born. And would it have been no surprise to them, for all of them had to have seen this star, right? There's clearly something in the sky that wasn't there before. At least these people identified it and said, there's something peculiar about that. We've got to follow it. Enough compulsion in their thinking and their understanding to say, I'm going to stop everything about my life and I'm going to chase after that star. What do they think they were going to find? You know what I mean? What happens at the end of a shiny star? You know what I mean? This is a leprechaun story, right? There's a pot of gold at the end of the star. So they walk after this star. How many people end up finding Jesus? In the millions of people that are living on earth during the time, 3. 3 men decide that this is worth our time and effort to put everything aside and walk after this sign. I was thinking about this today as I was trying to put the final polish on this. When does history become ancient? I even Googled that, and they're like, I don't even think Google understood what I was asking. When does history become ancient history? Because I would think that these guys, these 3 wise guys who are looking this up, trying to find out this story, even for them, it would have been ancient history. We're talking about 700 years after the story or the prophecy was written. They are studying it 700 years later. And now for us, it would have been almost 3,000 years. We're past that. Does that make sense? It was ancient history even for them. You and I get bored with history. We get bored with stuff like that. We just don't spend a whole lot of time diving into it. And so I wonder, are we missing the signs? Are we missing it? So if you lived during that time frame, would you have missed the sign too? Would you have known? Would you have known to even look? Would you have known to even think about the concept that there's a promise coming that's going to revolutionize my life, and I want to be able to find it? I want to be able to put everything in my life behind it. That's what these guys did. They stopped everything, followed a star. I want to search for what's beyond that star. Don't you think they looked a little stupid? Don't you think they looked a little bit foolish telling people, what are you doing? Well, we're on a pilgrimage after that bright light in the sky. It kind of resembles the International Space Station. I just want to make sure you all hear. Did you all hear the other day, Monday morning, that the International Space Station passed over us? I heard this on the radio, and they said it's a bright light in the sky. I was like, how fitting, Christmas week, bright light in the sky. What in the world? I tried to look, but I was driving, and probably not a good idea at the time. Would you have missed it? I would have missed it. Why would we miss it? Well, because, hands down, our favorite phrase right now, I'm just too busy. I just have too many things going on. I just have too much occupying my life right now to worry about a sign, a something. Check this out. It says this, that these guys interacted with Herod at the time, and Herod had some problems. He had some psychological issues going on. He was very paranoid, and maybe rightfully so. I don't know. He was, as soon as these guys come in there and they tell him that another rival king has been born, naturally Herod's going to be like, is he going to take over my kingdom? I should be worried about this. And so he comes up with this plan, why don't you, go find this king, and then you come back and tell me so that I can go worship him too. And we know that's not what he was going to do. He was going to kill them. And it says this in verse number 7. It says, Herod arranged a secret meeting with the scholars from the east, and it says that he was pretending to be as devout as they were. He got them to tell him exactly when the birth announcement star appeared. And I just kind of wonder, how many of you are pretending? How many of you are pretending today? That you walk into this church and it's just for show. You're just pretending. My son Ryder, he loves superheroes. He believes that he is a superhero in somehow. Someday he's going to become a superhero. I think maybe no surprise to you, but I tell him one day he's going to grow up to be a Navy SEAL. I just believe it. I think he thinks I'm saying baby seal, but it's just not clicking some way or the other. But the other day I came home, and forgive me if you heard me tell this before, but I came home and he's wearing this suit. It's around Halloween, and so he's dressed up as PJ Mask, right? And I'm like, I walk in the door, and I just played right into it. I'm like, what are you? Who are you in my house? And he says, I'm PJ Mask. And I said, oh, are you really? And he pulls up his little mask. He's like, Dad, it's just me, Ryder. Like, oh my gosh, ridiculous. And a week ago, we had our family pictures taken, and we decided, I coached Crystal into let's just let the kids dress in their own personality. So dangerous. But he pulls out his Flash hoodie, and he's going to wear this Flash hoodie because he's a superhero. I love it. That's who he is in his mind. He's pretending. But I just wonder, how many of you are pretending today? You're pretending that everything's fine. You're pretending that as we come into this Christmas season, and we all want the nostalgia and all the feels of Christmas, and so we just have to pretend that everything just becomes perfect. And that's what this guy's doing. He's pretending. Herod is pretending to be as devout and as interested as they are, not knowing what the outcome will be. Man, isn't it tired to pretend? Isn't it exhausting to put on a face? Instead of, if we would just get real in front of this God of ours and describe to him the difficulty that we face and understand that he can actually deal with some of the problems that we face instead of us trying to pretend like we can handle them on our own. He tells them this. He said, then he told them the prophecy about Bethlehem and said, go and find this child. Leave no stone unturned, and as soon as you find him, send word, and I'll join you at once to worship in your worship. Instructed by the king, they set off, and then the star appeared again. And listen to that line just for a minute. The star appeared again. I mean, we know that from the time that Jesus was born, this star appeared when Jesus was born. When they finally interacted with Jesus, 2 years had passed by. 2 years. This isn't, when we read this, Matthew chapter 1, verse number 1, after Jesus was born, this isn't like a moment later. 2 years had gone by. These guys had set aside years of their life to pursue this. And can you imagine the stress that they would go through every single day, waking up hoping that there was still a star in the sky? Praying, Lord, don't let that star go away, because we're going to look like mighty foolish. You know what I mean? Where are we? Where are we going? How do we get there? How did they think about this for just a minute again. If there's millions of people on planet at that time, they're looking for one single baby. How do they even know? How foolish did these guys have to look to wander through the face of the earth looking for a baby and be willing to tell people that? The star appeared. The star reappeared. I'm sure much to their relief. We can follow it. We can get there. We know where we're going. The same star they had seen in the eastern skies, it led them on until it hovered over the place of the child. They could hardly contain themselves. Listen to these words. They were at the right place. They had arrived at the right time. They were in the right place, and they had arrived at the right time. They entered the house. They saw the child in the arms of Mary, his mother, and overcome, they knelt and worshiped him. They opened their luggage. They presented him with gifts, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And so we get the idea of Christmas right there. They gave gifts. They were in the right place at the right time. Church, I think that you and I, we're in the right place at the right time. You're here. You're in the right place at the right time. You're looking for something. You came here tonight for a reason. Maybe this is just tradition for you. Let's change the tradition tonight. This is no longer tradition. This is for purpose. This is for life-altering effect. You're in the right place at the right time, and now it's time for you to inject the right response. I came up with that all by myself. It's time for the right response. Well, what's the right response? Maybe it's time for you to put Jesus into your life. Put Jesus into your story, into the mix of who you are and of what you're facing and what you're going through. Don't let this Christmas pass just to be another event in your life, another thing that you do. No, let's add Jesus into the mix. Let's put him in place of the purpose that he has for you. This is who he is, and this is what he has for your life. Let him be this gift that he wants to be in your life. Listen, I realize that with the stories that you bring to this church and this house, this living room tonight, that each one of you comes with a different facet or feel or perception about God. And to you, maybe God is just some far off something. You believe that he's there. You know that he exists. You know that there's some power behind this, but it's very impersonal to you. You haven't had a conversation with God maybe ever. To you, the concept of prayer is something that somebody else does, or it's something that you do every once in a while, or it's in a moment of desperation. What if you just restarted this Christmas with a prayer? What if you got innately and intensely personal with this God today for the very first time, or for a new time again, and just said, hi, thanks for coming. Thanks for what you've done for me on this earth. Something. What if you just started a prayer today? I want to just invite you right now, with your heads bowed and your eyes closed, right where you're at, to just start a new conversation again. Listen, we know that one of my favorite verses in all the Bible, one of my favorite lines, says in Romans 8:1 that there is no condemnation to us who are in Christ Jesus. That means that the past doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So many people get hung up on the thing that happened way back when. And they think that we've got to fix that thing before we can actually come back and have a relationship with God again. And that's not true. The forgiveness, the grace, the love of our Savior, this Father, this Jesus who came to this earth, goes so far beyond the things that you have ever done. It reaches so far beyond that. God, I want to just pray over this church tonight. I want to pray over this people. God, as some of us get stuck and hung up sometimes on the difficulties of our life, of the complexities that we inject and face, that we add. Sometimes, God, it makes us even run away from you. We get scared. We become afraid of who you are, of what you say, of what you might think. But I just pray that restoration might be found tonight, or that recovery might happen in the body and the minds of these people that are here, that you came for. that you came to this earth that you would eventually die for. But help us to start new again. In Jesus' name, amen.